You like that, don't you? I wrote it myself, by the way. And I don't mean to be selfish, but I picture myself getting paid. And you might catch pneumonia because I'm colder than an elf on a sleigh. Me and Pushback on it, so everybody help us pray. Lord, forgive my sins and all my friends. Dollars make sense. I'm trying to get paid, trying to get saved. Too late, time to get paid. Got a gun and a stocking mask. Niggas thought I was trying to get waves. I'ma let y'all niggas pray for it. My young niggas knocking off a K for it. Sold my soul on the back end. Only fucking way I'ma pay for it. Front that shit, you put a flame on. My niggas locked in a cage for. They keep telling me to go hard. Number one spot you was made for. I made more. Front of the grill got a racehorse. California Crayola red. Glow in the dark like EA tour. Fuck niggas stepping in my lane for. Not knowing that it's a landmine. Soon as a nigga feel a cool breeze, throw the top up like a gang sign. Red or blue, crip or blood, solitaires. Diamond studs like chandeliers. I'm a flood. Black Jesus piece like it's dipped in mud. Fashion gods, notice mine. Rollerball spikes, I'm Pokemon. Pair shit, Louis Vuitton. Under bright lights, where do you belong? Please, Lord, yeah, it's getting realer every day. Niggas killing, niggas starving, yeah, cause they can't find no yay. See, the first they roll around and they bills they cannot pay. So some be trapping, some be dying. Bow our heads and let us pray. Amen. How many people do you know hating? On your downfall, sitting there waiting. When you shine, I know what they gonna say then. Everything I do now, stadiums. So tell me what they really gonna say to him. And I'm headed straight to the ATM. Finna go ham, nigga, finna go in. Nigga, you'll get it when pigs fly. When Yeezy fake, devil's pie, piece of cake, Kit Kat, I need a break. God's child, Jesus Christ, glove like a broken neck. I need the ice, I need the lights. In Egypt, fighting for freedom. Cop pull you over, no reason, beat them. Please, Lord, yeah, it's getting realer every day. All right, so let's get to it, y'all. Coach, appreciate y'all joining in. We got a lot to do. Whew, Coach spent a lot of time on this one. And as soon as he gets done, he's got to go right back to reading a full book that's like, I don't know, 400 or 500 pages or something. So we've got the Browns hiring their coaches. So we're kind of going out of order, but they hired George Warhop. Remember old George here? That's going to be fun. So they hired their head coach, Todd Monken. So everybody immediately, I guess they're not hiring Belichick. Holy shit. The Browns have a coach in January before the fucking season's even ended. So that means next year, Belichick can't possibly get here. Okay, you can think that. Sure. Okay, because Todd Monken's in town, Mr. Untouchable. Roll out the fucking red carpet here, okay? We can't make room for 6 Super Bowl Belichick here. He's not even a Hall of Famer. You know where they're going to build a new building for Todd Monken by the time this motherfucker's done. You seen those Ravens cook in the past few years? Did you see that Monday Night Football game against the Steelers? Woo! Terrifying. And I know Shador can't wait for this motherfucker considering he told the Ravens specifically not to draft his ass. So, yeah, I'm not fucking worried at all about Todd Monkey Man, Todd Bobby Monken is not intimidating Coach one bit out of taking the fucking Brownies the second those fucking odds open up. I swear to God, they're going all the way to the Super Bowl and getting their ass whooped because they deserve it so hard. Now, anyway, moving on. Coaches had to go crazy there because it's just fucking ridiculous. This isn't even the nigga they wanted. It's not even the 5th nigga they wanted. First of all, why the fuck you hiring somebody in January? It's not even the dude you wanted. You settled. They got some convoluted process, submit a personality test, all this fucking garbage that you got to deal with when you fucking apply for a job, right? But the head coaches, they just say they're too good for that, right? So just let Todd Monken get promoted. Team finish second in a division that can't even win a playoff game, right? It's like Kevin Stefanski taking the Falcons job. Like, boy, could you take an easier fucking ride, right? So, spoiler alert, Kevin Stefanski. With the Falcons, he's racist, so Michael Penix is doomed. It's Kirk Cousins' time, baby. With old Kevin and Kirk at the helm in the worst division in football, sending a losing record to the fucking playoffs to get embarrassed at home by the Rams. So he's gonna get his ass whooped by Baker. They play the Browns straight up right away. So I can't wait for that. Belichick doesn't even have to be the head coach. Even if somehow this motherfucker hangs around, Schwartz hates it. Schwartz says, I'm out of here, right? And guess what? The Lions defense is fucking god-awful. So, hey, maybe they figure it out. Let's bring old Jim Schwartz back to shore up the defense, okay? He didn't get the head coaching job he wanted, and he doesn't want to just stick in the same place. Well, at least, we sniffed a conference championship recently, and, Dan Campbell's probably a Schwartz kind of guy. He probably shows mutual respect. You know what I mean? He's not like Kevin Stefanski sniffing his own farts all day, right? So that seems like a good fit. So, so Campbell goes to the Lions to fix their biggest weakness, which is they have no defense. And, we've already got some big signings coming their way, right? They'll give some pieces to Shorts for him to work with, to tinker with. And then, Belichick just slips into defensive coordinator for Monken. I mean, anybody got a problem with that? Seriously. Just have the guy who, right after Garrett breaks Lawrence Taylor's sack record, have the guy that coached Lawrence Taylor to the sack record coach Myles Garrett. Not even make him a head coach. Just specifically work with the side that you're good with. You're a billion years old. You're not having great success as a head coach right now, right? Maybe either Monken gets completely ran out before he even coaches a game, which if you think that sounds crazy, guess who did that before? Bill Belichick for the Jets, okay? So yes, it does happen. This is the exact type of scenario where it would happen. I'm not entirely opposed to Monken hanging around because he's just there to lose anyway, right? It's not like we got them winning the Super Bowl. But Schwartz over the Lions actually helps coach's case a lot for them winning the Super Bowl. So this is a fun development. Myles Garrett also hates the hire of Todd Monken. They wanted the Cleveland Rams coordinator, right? You remember the team that left Cleveland too soon, right in time for the Browns to start winning all their Super Bowls. Coach found the craziest stat ever. If the Browns win their next 1,190 games, and this was as of 2 years ago, so it's probably even worse now. They probably have to win 1,300 or something. Not quite that crazy, but at least 1,200. If they win their next 1,200 games, they'll tie the winning percentage of the Browns from the 60s and 50s and 40s. That's how good that fucking team was. They never lost, ever. They didn't know how to do it. So, how quickly we forget. We'll still bring up fucking Happy Days and make us watch Leave It to Beaver, but we're just going to pretend the Browns have been terrible forever and the Steelers, who just popped up, or some sacred team with 2 less championships. Okay, anyway, ran over. We got way too much to handle. So, Monken, of course, got to start under Tom Beck, so Tom Brady's coach might come in to help old Monken here. It could be a clue. Let's see, what do we got with the Monk? A lot of this research is really old because Coach has been digging like crazy. So first of all, Tom Beck, this dude's turning 86. He could go. This is a big psyop in the news or whatever. Obviously, they don't even look the same. Coach isn't that concerned. We know everything in the news is fake, so we're just going to stick to stuff that's actually interesting and fun. Just be do you think this is the same actor here that's in the interview? Who cares, right? So, let's see. Ron Gordon. God, I can't believe I can't remember what. A lot of this stuff was just meme stuff. So 12 ignorant asshole voters tarnished the Hall of Fame by keeping Belichick out. So 12, Tom Brady's number, is the amount that keeps Belichick out of the Hall of Fame. Of course, exact same time Robert Kraft gets into the Hall of Fame, exact same time the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady asked who will win the Super Bowl. He says Steelers are the better team. Patriots are the better story. We're going narrative, especially when the team we're favoring has won 1 billion Super Bowls this millennium, and they're going against a team that stinks like the fucking Seahawks. Who cares about them? They've gotten more than enough. Everybody's got to be sick of the Seahawks. They don't have any, there's nothing there. I'm not saying the team's bad, but I'm saying the brand sucks. Seattle Seahawks, it's okay. It's not the Patriots. So anyway, let's see. All right, so they're doing the World Cup super weird. So Coach told you the format, but I knew the math didn't quite add up because they had to have changed something. So the way it used to work is, your teams would get in, and then half would advance from group. But this year they're actually saving. I think they said 8 spots or 9 spots, something like that, for third place winners, right? So there's weird stories. There was a team that was the only team that went undefeated in the World Cup a few years back, but they didn't advance their group because they didn't have any wins. It was 3 draws, right? So, but in this format, they'd have a pretty solid chance of still advancing as their third team out of group stage. So basically, the group stage just narrows it down from 48 to 32. So there's as many teams in the single elimination tournament that used to be in the entire World Cup. So this is a crazy, crazy tournament. Coach is going to just give you the big stuff right here because he appreciates you. He doesn't want to waste your time. He wants to hook you in, right? Let you know there's a reason to stay here. Coach really likes everything he learned about Egypt, and Coach likes to do that. He'll make a kind of crazy pick or whatever. That's how the Indiana one came about last year, right? I was like, oh, let's just like, without really thinking too much, who am I feeling? Boom, Indiana, right? And then it's like, I follow them a little bit, and I'm like, actually, it's Ohio State. And then what do you know? Ohio State wins, right? I never get back to Indiana. Indiana wins this year. Well, coach wanted to just throw like a feeler out there without thinking too much, right? And that's why he was like, what's the country that keeps coming up all the time? Egypt. We got the Sabres. He made a good case for him. I definitely think Egypt could be good for it, but that saber fencing World Cup is still a World Cup win. That could be all they need. And coach was looking at like World Cup matchups, and it's the same teams like every single matchup in the finals. Like there's only a handful of teams that have ever made a final. It's the same ones that win, come back to lose later, and then etc. Lose now, win later, right? Like they just keep recycling like the same names. So Egypt getting all the way to the World Cup final, although I do think if it was all real, they'd have a solid chance. Although I still wouldn't say it's quite their time. They're going to do something big, and I want something that feels like a solid World Cup win for them. And the spoiler for them is I got them advancing out of group and beating England in the round of 32. Egypt versus England. You get Egypt on U.S. soil for a little bit longer. They knock out, England. John Oliver did a big fluff piece on Egypt. Of course, England has like issues with immigration, with Muslims, etc. Right? So I got Egypt beating England and then immediately losing to Switzerland because of Toblerones. They are Swiss chocolate in the shape of pyramids. So I am taking back the Egypt pick, but it's because I've got the best World Cup script ever. Right, so if you want to hear the best World Cup script ever, I gave you what Egypt's doing. I'm still giving them a World Cup win. That'll feel like they won the final and have something to work towards in the future. But for the actual 2026 World Cup finals, and there's no way we're going back on this one. This is the best you're ever going to hear. It's too obvious, dude. So Argentina won it last year. It's in the U.S., right? The only two fucking soccer players Americans can name are Messi and Ronaldo. Right, so Argentina just won. Portugal's ranked 6th in the world. They just beat a team like 9-1 and another team 6-1. Like they weren't great teams, but they're absolutely cruising. We've never gotten Ronaldo and Messi in a World Cup. Portugal's never won a World Cup, but they've done everything but, and all because of Ronaldo. Like he comes out of nowhere, wins them everything but the World Cup. And now they're in their early 40s. They have, like Coach talked about Egypt having outstanding talent. Argentina, who of course I don't have to convince you is the defending World Cup champs, but Portugal is nothing short of world-class talent at every single position. And for those not like super familiar with like the World Cup, like, back in 2010, as much as I really, truly believed the United States could do something, there's no way I ever dreamed of them winning a World Cup because there were literally players on Argentina's reserves, like not even subs, straight up reserves, that on just raw talent were better than any one player on the United States. Like, and that's not a huge knock against the U.S. We had a pretty good, I really stretched that word. Good. It was acceptable. Right, you're not. If you had a really good manager, you could hide a lot of the weaknesses there pretty easily, and have them just like really. You'd have to have them really operating as a unit. Like that's why I really didn't like Bob Bradley, etc. But anyways, they didn't run the good formations either, and injuries. They had a bunch of problems, right? But the U.S. not top heavy, super thin. Argentina and Portugal are the types of teams that it's just an embarrassment of riches, like. We might not have even seen their best player. Like, it's that ridiculous. Like, at least their best goal scorer could be hiding down there somewhere. Like, there's always some speedy young kid that just knows how to put the ball in the net. And on a team full of vets like Portugal or whatever, it's like, even if he's horrible at tackling, you just hide him out front and just tell him to fire away. He's not going to hurt your team, right? So, of course, Ronaldo, goal machine, everybody knows the name. I don't know how much time I really need to spend on this, but as far as, we'll circle back, right? Coach has a billion slides here. I don't need to just stare at this group stage format. So let's get right to it. So World Cup 26, hosted between Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. Coach was looking, and it is a staggering amount of times that the host nation finds their way all the way to the finals, right? So Coach isn't saying that's going to happen this year, but someone's making a deep run, and my money's on Mexico. Mexico has flirted with the top 10, throughout recent history, past 10, 20 years, right? They've been in the conversation at times. They've had really good players. I like them possibly going like all the way to the Final Four or whatever, right? But just to make you think it's somehow rigged for some sort of hometown. Like, that's why I think the U.S. kind of makes a deep run, too. I'm thinking maybe the U.S. and Mexico face off. They do a build-the-wall thing. Kat thinks we're going to get the Netherlands and the U.S. because of Orange Man Bad and the Orange team. I like both of those picks, but I'm not a strong believer in the U.S. team. Like I said, they're sealed. They could make it to the quarterfinal. They could finish as high as third or fourth. Same with Mexico, third or fourth. But the finals is completely locked up. It's Portugal and Argentina, and they're not paying shit for it, right? So the coach is just telling you what it is. It's not going to be some huge payday, but we know exactly what they're doing with the fucking World Cup, and it's almost certainly the last time they'd be able to do this. We've got so many old players like getting over now. It just makes perfect sense. The U.S. has always been like weirdly adverse to soccer. Nothing's going to draw them in more than the two biggest names in the sport playing a final on U.S. soil, especially if the U.S. finally doesn't have a complete letdown of a tournament. Like, even getting through the round of 32 and losing is kind of a victory for the U.S. And then Canada's really just like bad. They've never made it out of group. So not too worried about either of those teams. Let's see. So I thought it was interesting, the Seahawks, Patriots, that Super Bowl that was decided by the interception in the end zone, that was Malcolm Butler. So, of course, Jimmy Butler just got hurt. He was a Sixer. We got the Sixers winning. Malcolm in the middle is coming back. Let's see, he set a record, tied with Joe Montana, right? Of course, the Brady-Montana argument forever. Now the Patriots, Tom Brady's team, playing a Super Bowl in San Fran. I think it's very interesting. Like, we saw Seattle completely roll the Niners, right? But they didn't have to go to Candlestick now, did they? And I want to know. I didn't even think about that till just now, but let's look at the Seahawks schedule. This is the type of thing nobody would think about but Coach. Oh, nope, they did. So I'm thinking that's the one we just saw, right? Okay, so they played the Niners back-to-back. Talk about lame. And the first one was actually, looking Candlestick, way closer. Obviously, the Seahawks didn't have as much to play for, right? And both times they just completely suffocated the Niners' offense. But it's looking like the Seahawks don't perform nearly as well on offense in Candlestick. They put up 13 points against the Patriots. That's a loss. Like I said, it's not like they were fighting for their playoff lives or anything there. But, there's games here, look, this 18-16. They don't always score like crazy. 21-19 loss to the Rams. Everybody remembers the overtime win over the Rams, of course, the playoffs. But, yeah, the Rams whooped their ass earlier in the season when they had to go to St. Louis, or when they had to go to L.A. Lucky they didn't have to go to L.A. Lucky they didn't have to go to San Fran. They finally got to go somewhere that's not Seattle, right? Patriots, guess what? They had to go to Denver, face the toughest O-line and one of the toughest defenses in shitty conditions, and find a way. And Denver didn't do themselves any favors, right? They should have taken a field goal in the first half, etc., and signed Peyton Manning instead of Jarrett Stidham. But, that's still the Patriots' path far more impressive. They won 3 games. One was on the road against them. I would say the Broncos are much better than the Rams played, right? I would argue going to Denver, even if you think the Rams are better than Denver, going to Denver and winning there, even with the backup quarterback in those conditions, is a lot tougher than going to Seattle, where it's the conditions favor your type of offense. They're older. It's not super cold. The field's going to be nice, right? The Rams in Denver in a snowstorm would be virtually worthless, in my opinion. I don't see them as a smash mouth type team. They're kind of reminiscent of the Greatest Show on Turf. But anyways, getting sidetracked. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Let's get back to our thing. Oh, of course, the dog is going to start barking. So Lamar Hunt owner of the Chiefs. So don't forget we had Lamar Hunt versus Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship. And then look, it's in Jackson County, right? So you can think that's a coincidence. I'm sorry, my dogs are annoying me. Give me 1 second. So Bruce Irvin, that reminds Coach of like Julius Irvin, Irvin Johnson. Of course, Marshall Bruce Mathers, Legion of Boom. So Boom, like, we just had Oklahoma win. They're Boomer Sooner. Earl Thomas, we had James Earl Jones and James Earl Carter both died at the same time last year. So this is old. I think this is what I showed you before. So anyway, let's see. So Argentina. So Lionel Messi's manager is Lionel Scaloni. Of course, they always got to do a billion jokes, right? So Lionel and Lionel, the two Lionels. So he's, who is this? It's Ronaldo, named after Ronald Reagan, right? So, of course, the U.S. seems like it'd be good to him, right? What the hell is some Portuguese guy getting named after an American president for? You're just going to accept that that's normal? Like, so, and then, look, played in Andorina from 92. 92 is a flip of 26. We don't know, like, why that's important, but they just ran, like, the first number they give us is 92, right? 97, that's 76 flip. Lionel Pontus was his tutor. And then, of course, I knew this before they even said it just because I knew they couldn't resist this joke. Like, I literally looked this up specifically because I was like, tell me fucking Ronaldo didn't grow up idolizing Ronaldinho. And sure enough, he did. And as well as Ronaldinho loved... Oh, of course, they had a Ronaldo, too. So Ronaldo grew up loving Ronaldinho and Ronaldo. So he's big into Brazil. Coach says for sure Portugal's beating Brazil on the way. You can pretty much pencil them into the quarterfinal. And then, like, on the other side, for Argentina to pull, like, a total heel move, I'm thinking beat, like, Ukraine. Someone that nobody wants to see go down, like the darling of the tournament. Have Argentina pull a heel move just by beating a team that nobody wanted to get beat, right? Nothing, like, I don't think Messi's going to make some big suck it crotch chop or something and say Ronaldo's ass, right? It's not going to be that obvious. They're just going to subtly beat somebody that didn't feel like they deserved it. And I think Ukraine is a good pick there. Sorry, we don't need this shit. Let's skip ahead. Okay, so Coach has shifted away from games, but with the World Cup coming up, I do have to recommend this one. Super Arcade Football is lit. It's kind of like Sensible Soccer. There's a lot to it. Definitely check that one out if you need World Cup fix. Carson Wentz tears ACL just like Carson Palmer tore his ACL. Both quarterbacks. Coach was looking into Edgar Allan Poe. And this is one, like, Coach will crack something and then completely forget he cracked it and then, like, crack the whole thing again. I'm pretty sure I cracked this one before, and this is a re-crack in a way, right? But, so his spouse is Virginia. And... oh, man, I definitely skipped ahead. So Coach was just thinking about, like, the Raven, right? And I'm like, Baltimore? I was like, so he died in Baltimore, but I'll bet there's somewhere else that starts with an R that's going to be, like, more suitable to the Ravens than the Baltimore Ravens. Like, it's not horrible because it, like, ends in an R, but, like, Baltimore Ravens, like, it just it doesn't feel great. And, like, Baltimore's already lost their team once. And, like, they got so much off of the old Browns. Like, that Browns team being so good. You know, winning 8 championships, going over to the Ravens, winning a few more or whatever. Like, why keep them in Baltimore? They're going to go somewhere else. Maybe even, like, back to Canton. Be the Canton Bulldogs. I'm not sure. But anyways, the point is, so his spouse was Virginia. So I'm like, ooh, Richmond Ravens, which I think is one that I threw up before. And what do you know? He was taken in by John and Francis Allen of Richmond, Virginia. So Coach saying that's really close to Baltimore. In Virginia Beach is the biggest city to not have a pro sports team of any kind. And we would definitely travel to Richmond for football. I mean, there's only a handful of games a year, 8 home games a year. There's plenty of people in Virginia Beach would have season tickets. And, like, even if they weren't going to make all 8 trips, you literally split it with one buddy. You only got to go 4 times. 4 trips to Richmond, that's nothing. So I definitely think that could be a smart move. And, you know, like, some Ravens fans, that's not really too far for them to even, like, they could still go see their team. Like, they're going to be bummed they're not in Baltimore. but it's not like it's on the other side of the country. They just go one state over. It's nicer anyway. Come visit the beach or whatever. Baltimore sucks. You're not going to get shot here, except you are. It's just not as likely, barely. And then, let's see. So Virginia Clem, that was his cousin that he married. So, Drake May, first North Carolina QB to start in a Super Bowl. These just look like a bunch of NPCs. Just watch the Sixers thing. It's very, very odd. Let's see. So this is like the Browns Super Bowl Nation account, right? Which is more likely, Monken fired in 2 seasons or less versus Monken making it through his 5-year contract. He'll be fired after 1 season. Oh, he was absolutely impossible to predict what the Browns will do next. I'll bet my house, investments, children, lives, etc. There's no way he's making it 5 years. There are reasons nobody wanted this job. He's already set up to fail. Not only that, he just doesn't. He's not a needle mover. You can't fucking come into the Browns, just be some man. Oh, Todd, he might be good. It's the fucking Browns, nigga. You need someone that can fucking move heaven and earth, right? Anything short of 6 fucking Super Bowls isn't even a consideration. You're ass. You went 0-16 not that long ago. You don't do anything ever. You're going to settle for Todd fucking Monken in January? There's no way that's the fucking plan. That's all I'm saying. And if it is, they're obviously doomed. But there's way too much going. Oh, how about this? Okay. So, of course, Coach came in when he first started the channel, red hot with Lions, Browns numbers. You tell me there's not something going on with 68, blah, 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 blah. And I fell back into my Red Sox trap of 86 years from the championship. I knew the whole time there was nothing to do with the fucking championship that cursed the Lions, even though it was the same as the Sox. It was both due to a trade, right? And they both happened the year after, but Babe Ruth's trade was in January. And Coach has already told you, if he has to bet his life on what the real New Year is, it's April 1st. And they call you a fool for believing it, right? When you're celebrating freezing your fucking ass off in the middle of winter in January. Beginning of January, right? What the hell's that? So, Coach says, I never want to just assume too much, right? But it's we might have a little bit of play in the early part of a year. And that would perfectly line up why is the fucking Super Bowl in February? You know what I mean? Parts that doesn't line up as well as the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup rolls well into June, right? So they might just the 2-year window, whatever. But I'm still thinking the New Year is in April and maybe, wait, hold on, 68 years. Let me do some quick math. 86. Yeah, so the Sox, it was really only 85 years from the trade, unless, like I said, because the World Series was in October versus January, if you count April as a new year, that gives you the 86, whereas the Lions did it way different. They actually rolled with Bobby Lane into the next season and traded him almost immediately in October. So if we're going 68 years from the trade, that's all hitting right now, and that alone wouldn't make me too excited. But the part where I really got my ears perked up was thinking, the Lions have only won 4. So it's not like we're going to get a ton of chances to get some sort of 62, 26, whatever. Well, what do you know? This next Super Bowl is going to be played in 2027. And they won in 1935. That's 92 years, which could totally be a 26 flip. So, if it doesn't happen right here, right now, we don't have any numbers to support it, just straight up. But I have no reason to believe it's not happening right here, right now, so I'm not too nervous. But anyway, let's keep moving on. Berry shuck. Of course, we like berries. Cleveland Browns blow it. This is Cleveland's local CBS. Cleveland Browns blow it with Todd Monken hire. Giants can be 2026 Patriots and best coordinator hires. Oh, this is really good. Right, so former Patriots quarterback Bailey Zappi, former Patriots punter Jacob Bailey, who was married to Bailey Medeiros. That's right. Jake Bailey married to Bailey Medeiros, teammate of Bailey Zappi. Now, might as well just keep going with the Baileys. We got Champ Bailey on the Broncos. Patriots tie-in. He tied Asante Samuel for most interceptions in a season. We got a San Diego tie-in. I don't think I had a ton. Frank Zappa, what was that about? I can't remember why we're doing that. Like, no one wants to... So, T.J. Watt was crying about Tomlin leaving. So, Coach thinks, like, they talk about how fashionable fascists are. Like, Coach says it's because it's all role play, it's all dress up, it's all pretend. Right? So, that's why they're always trying to look as intimidating as possible because they're completely toothless. So I'm not going to read this whole stupid article. We got too much stuff to worry about. Tyrese Maxey on the cover of Slam magazine with Steph Curry's name there. Edgecombe. So let's talk about reasons to feel good about the Sixers, basketball-wise. Okay, so we saw Iverson Sixers make a finals 25 years ago. Now, I know it was a whole different world back then, but I don't think the average championship team is better than that Shaq and Kobe Lakers back then, right? Like, I know it wasn't necessarily a big three, but you had enough role players that kind of make up an unspoken third, like, Fisher and Ori, and I can't even think right off, right? But it honestly, it just always felt like they had a guy that could make a big shot. But, and of course, Shaq, incredibly dominant. Now, as far as, so we saw Iverson just will that team to the finals basically by himself. Like, they had absolutely no talent. As far as from a talent perspective, this Sixers team is by far the most stacked I've ever seen. Not even close. Oh, my God, it's literally night and day difference. You want to compare this to fucking Tyrone Hill and Eric Snow and Aaron McKee? Or fast forward to just pre-process, we're talking Spencer Hawes. Obviously Holiday could play, but that's your best player. It's rough, right? So it's not been good to be a Sixers fan for a long time, right? And all of a sudden, we got two cover athletes on the same team, Embiid and MVP, Maxey hitting his all-star, getting his first all-star nod. You would think this team has, maxed out, basically. But in the draft last year, they traded their first-round pick, but it was top 5 protected. Now, it got even worse during the draft because something happened with the balls to where, if ours even fell to 5th, we were losing it. So we had to get in the top 4 picks of the draft this year to keep our first-round pick. And we ended up with number fucking 3, which is where we drafted Joel Embiid, the best player on our team. This is the best pick Hinkie has had. I'm sorry, Morey. It's the best pick Daryl Morey has had his entire tenure with the Sixers. It's the highest they've drafted since Markelle Fultz. So to have a top 3 pick that they could just add right there, to make the team better on a rookie salary is huge. And any other point in time, you would have seen the Sixers trade back or trade the pick or move up and take a terrible pick or whatever. They sit right there at 3rd. They take the guy they basically said they wanted the whole time. He's a great athlete. He's a hustle guy. He's not perfect, but I love watching him play. VJ Edgecombe, right? So Edgecombe and Maxey, both sitting there besides Paul George and Embiid. I really think a big three of Embiid, Paul George, and Steph Curry can get you a title. So even if you got to move both of these guys to get Steph Curry, and I would be shocked if the Warriors don't take that. I would take it in a second because I would know damn well our window got cooked with that Jimmy Butler injury. That was a desperation move anyway. You heard Ricky Bird. He said he wouldn't have made that move if it was the only move to be made. right? So they just completely shot themselves in the foot. They wouldn't be stabbing Steph in the back. They owe it to Steph. And they owe it to their fans to future. Like, they've invested so much in Steph, and it's not his fault that hasn't produced more on the tail end of his career. So many things happening with Clay, et cetera, right? And it's like the front office just kind of falling apart and botching everything, right? But I don't think Steph wants to be there. I would definitely ship him out. Philly's not like probably his dream place to live, but it's just a couple years. At the tail end of his career, he's just looking to win a championship. So he's going to want to go the best spot. What do you know? Embiid's best teammate ever was J.J. Redick, and Redick is awful. He just happens to be able to hit like a ridiculous amount of threes and run the pick and roll. With Steph's ability to run off ball and hit threes, like that would open so much up for the Sixers. I really think his know-how. He's like Maxey does a good job of keeping Embiid in check. And like I said, this trade doesn't have to happen. And it's only got a few days to happen, is why we're talking about it so aggressively. The trade deadline's in like 3 days, and Paul George just got suspended for 25 games. So we need to find a way to compete through the rest of the season, which I think we're okay. We might end up with the play-in type shit, but I think we'll be okay with who we got. But, I'm not one to normally sell for the short term, but like I think realistically looking at it, everybody's on different timelines. As much as I love Maxey and Edgecombe, I don't know how much they're realistically helping me win a title right now. Not that they're not good enough, but they don't have any experience. We didn't even make the playoffs last year, right? Maxey, we had him like getting paired with like Harden or whatever. Like he needs to be on a team that's treating him like the number one option and building from there. And he could eventually maybe fall to the 2 or 3 option. But like if I'm Maxey, I don't want to be on a team with a guy that's as ball dominant as Embiid. He's always calling out his work ethic and stuff anyways. The Warrior-Sixers connections makes a lot of sense. So if I'm the GM, if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm making this move. There's another reason I like the Sixers. Morey's the most popular GM in the league by far. He has a great personality. They criticize him for the Moneyball thing, but Coach says, I guarantee he uses it. He tells you he uses AI. He uses all sorts of data, but you think he's just ignoring everything about personality and ending up with kids like Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe? These kids are classy. Everybody likes these guys. You won't find a teammate that doesn't rave about them, right? On, national teams, college, whatever, right? These guys are just universally loved by everybody. So, you don't end up with guys like that just based off of data points when guys like Maxey fell into like 20. If it was all based off data points, somebody else would have seen that data, right? He's judging based off character as well. He's just like, he gets his guys that he likes in a pool, and then from there he uses the data, right? This guy is just not really going to help us in the area we need, right? And Coach says that's smart. Use every tool at your advantage. It's never just one thing in a process. Like even Coach picking his championships, like it's not just that Portugal's really good, right? It's that they have every reason. It's that they finished 3rd place before. It's that, I got some numbers to show you, et cetera. So Josh Allen becoming a dad this offseason, they're hiding his stomach. I'm guessing he's the breeder. Just saying, not spending a lot of time there, but if you know, you know. Drama in Minnesota. What was going on? Minnesota, I don't remember what was going on there. Oh, this was interesting. I actually just kept this for me, but I'll say it on the thing. I feel like he's still alive. So this person didn't see that Coach's Trevor Moore faked his death thing, right? He's just going off the first clip Coach posted. So I feel like he's still alive. So we're on the same page there. He doesn't know it. Watch the new series, The Beauty. Tell me that's not Trevor Moore. So Coach loves that tip, and I definitely will watch that series. The Sixers play the Clippers tonight. Not really on any national channel or anything like that. The Coach isn't too concerned because it's the NBA. NBA and MLB, they have so many games. They make most of them impossible to watch. So it being some Game Pass / NBC Sports thing doesn't worry about me. On the SLM Mathers thing here, so Coach says that SLM Mathers is Slim Shady Mathers, Marshall Mathers, right? So this person said, Sam Liddell Mathers is referenced in Debbie's autobiography. Interesting connection. Damn right it is. Holy shit. I'll have to pick that one up, the autobiography. The book I want to read right after we finish this video, Coach wants to read Furious George, about George Karl, because he was like a huge douchebag coach that basically hated superstars. We'll get into it. But specifically, his relationship with Carmelo Anthony is what piqued Coach's interest, and we got a bunch of connections already, so I know if we read the book, we'll really be cooking. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so check this out. Seattle Seahawks are going up for sale after the Super Bowl, right? So you could say the league's going to want them to win to inflate their market value, but Coach says it's all bullshit. They're not really just, hey, I wonder who the Seahawks are going to get sold to. Like, it's scripted. It's going to be some fake owner, right, who's going to come in and play the part of the owner. He's not fucking spending any money. It's just another actor, right? So Coach says that doesn't, like, the people who just say follow the money are completely just, like follow the money to the extent that they're always going to make you feel that money is the most important thing, and that if you don't have it, you're a loser. But, like, did you follow Miami's money versus Indiana's money? You know what I mean? Like, maybe Indiana stole it, like Coach Hughes. That's probably a bad example, right? But there's a lot. First of all, there's even more to that expression, though. Like, they say it's always about money unless they tell you it's about money, then it's about sex, right? So if there's even one thing that's deeper than money, there's probably more, right? So. But Meldrick Taylor, we know they're making a movie about him. So he had the WBA welterweight title in 92, so make a movie about him in 26. That's a flip. Let's see here. So he has a brother named Myron. Reminds Coach of Myron Cope. So Myron Sidney Kopelman. Sidney, like Sidney Crosby, greatest hockey player in Penguins history besides possibly Lemieux. And, you know, he died at age 79. That's 76 flip. So graduated from Taylor Alderdice. So don't forget we got there from Myron Taylor. So Myron going to Taylor Alderdice, same high school as Wiz Khalifa. So let's see. Coach says with, the Josh Harris ownership thing, he owns the Sixers. He's in the Epstein files right now that just got leaked. So, Harris, it's like Kamala Harris, of course. Trump, famous. So, this is crazy. I'm just going to give it to you right off the bat. Can you fucking believe? So, she loses to Trump, and her dad's name is Donald. You believe that? Come on, yo. We'll get there. But I'm sorry for jumping out of order. I can't help myself sometimes. That shit's just ridiculous. All right, so right there, preceded by Governor Jerry Brown. And didn't she have... So her mom is Shyamala. That's like M. Night Shyamalan, right? I just told you Josh Harris, with the Sixers. They also had Tobias Harris, right? Now, Shyamalan, how's that tie in? Well, what do you know? Season ticket holder to the Sixers, bases every fucking movie he's ever made in Philadelphia. 92 to present, 26 flip. We're liking it. You'd think he's from India because he was born there. Nope, raised in Penn Valley. He's just some Yinzer. So, there's that. I guess not a Yinzer because it's on the other side of the state, but you get it. He's just some Wawa pumper. Eating Wawa hoagies. Or sheets. Let's see, what else do we got? So, yeah, there's your season ticket holder of the Sixers. Bought real estate from the Rockefellers. Whoa. So, I love this part. So, like, he made up this big story about like how he almost died and like came back to life or something, and like they say like sci-fi went along with the hoax, and like he made everybody sign a non-disclosure deal that they'd be fined like $5 million if they tell anybody. Somehow it still gets out, right? So so we had the Brown before, and then so she defeated Willie Brown, but he had a relationship with Harris. Oh, yeah, she dated Willie Brown. For some reason, I thought it said defeated. Yeah, so she had a relationship with Willie Brown. Coach told you who was it? Jerry Brown, right? So preceded by Jerry Brown, has a relationship with Willie Brown, plays with his Willie. And she dated host Montel Williams. There's her father, Donald J. Harris, like Donald J. Trump, right? Har, 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 har. Are you fucking stupid? You really think that's real? If you think that's real, just stop fucking watching the video for real. Don't ever come back. You're a moron, okay? Parents met in 1962. That's a flip of 26. Donald J. Harris. Like, just so you know, in case you happen to not know what Donald Trump's middle initial is. Donald John Trump. Donald J. Trump. There you go. And, like, how is Coach the one telling you this? This shit happened years ago. This shit's already done. Nobody was like, hey, isn't it weird her dad's Donald J? I don't remember hearing that. Did you hear it? Somehow only Coach knows what irony is. Can you define irony? Probably not, because we're stupid. Okay, let's see. Jimmy Carter. Yeah, so she was endorsed by Jimmy Carter. He just died. James Earl Carter. We talked about him in the last episode. And many other episodes, of course. So James Earl Carter dies within months of James Earl Jones. I don't know what I was looking for here. Oh, yeah, so she got an endorsement from Taylor Swift, so there's our Taylor tying in. Of course, she's also from Pennsylvania. Taylor Allison Swift. And dates a Chiefs member when Andy Reid loses to his Philadelphia Eagles, who he previously coached. So Montel Brian Anthony Williams, that gives us an Anthony for Carmelo Anthony. Brian is also spelled like Brian Westbrook, so a couple good Philly things there for us. He got married in 92. That's a 26 flip. Let's see. So hold on. There's something about Joe Thomas here. How did we make this jump? I don't know how I didn't see what made me make this jump. Somehow Coach got in his head that Montel might be the singer Joe. And I thought it was very interesting. His name is Joe Thomas. I'm like, that's like the best Browns player this millennium, lineman Joe Thomas. Got signed in 92. That's a 26 flip for us. He's got an album, My Name is Joe Thomas. That makes me think of My Name is Earl. We just covered a bunch of Earls. Isn't that weird? Let's see. So Brian, nothing too exciting there. Here's Joe Thomas, the lineman Coach was telling you about. Carrie Underwood, Coach was saying, is this Mariah Carey maybe? So, and then her middle name's Marie. So I was like, definitely seems like it's possible. She also has a song, just like Taylor, called Shake It Off. Just thought that was interesting. So here's Tobias John Harris. Fucking biggest bum ever. Coach literally had motherfuckers who would tell him shit like the Nets are going to win 3 championships in a row because they got Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. They're just too good. When Coach is like, yeah, but who's going to play defense? And, there's only one ball. Like, they're all just going to dribble the air out of the ball. How does that work? Right, so I knew that wasn't going to fucking work. And those same idiots would be like, oh, your Sixers, I hate them, but that Tobias Harris sure can play. Embiid sucks. But, oh, man, Tobias Harris is the man. Like, okay, dude. So, if you want to know who Tobias Harris is, like, you already know how poorly the Knicks, and this was like, I was hearing it everywhere. It wasn't like one motherfucker thought the Nets were going to be good. Everybody's like, who's going to beat them? Fucking, they can beat themselves. It's Durant, Harden, and Kyrie Irving, like the biggest chokers ever. Irving's the only one that knows how to fucking win of the 3. And he needed LeBron. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. But anyways, obviously, we know the Nets thing aged terribly, but how poorly has standing Tobias Harris aged? His career earnings are the most of any player in NBA history without an All-Star appearance. So he's just been fleecing. He's just been stealing from every organization he's been a part of. Hand over fist to do nothing. This dude is like, there's been so many of this type of guy over the years. Someone who's just tall and is a black hole, is just going to shoot up everything and isn't a particularly great shooter. Like, this is a poor man's Joe Smith. What are we talking about? This guy sucks. That's why he's on his fucking 6th team. Like, come on now. It's why he got traded for Wilson Chandler, Mike Muscala, and Landry Shamet. Like, none of those are world beaters. Like, yeah, Landry Shamet was a first-round pick. I think we drafted him 17th. and he was only expendable because we had freaking Korkmaz. Shamit was definitely better than Korkmaz. By the way, let me get my dog to stop barking. Off that. All right, so let's see. So yeah, he's on Detroit. So I'm thinking for sure the Sixers are going against Detroit to get this fucker back. Knicks for sure. And I like there's no bye weeks in the NBA, or no bye rounds in the NBA. So no matter what, we're going 3 rounds. It's not like we'd get first seed anyway. So Knicks, Pacers, and the Pistons. That's who our Sixers are going to go through, I would say for sure. I kind of like having the Pistons. I think for sure they're going to do it as the Knicks because that's like our biggest rival right now. But I don't hate putting the Pistons all the way in the conference finals to lose to us if on the other end it's all LA, right? If you're teasing a Detroit Gems versus Detroit Pistons finals, I'm way down with it. So, and there's definitely ways they can make Detroit look good before then. So here's the total Lawrence coach was telling you about. So also it's Kraft Foods, right? We've got the Patriots in the Super Bowl. That's interesting. Introduced 118 years ago, right? Let's see. Dude was born in 76. I thought this was very interesting. Not like conspiracy or whatever, but just let you know how they get us, right? So they modified their chocolate bars. So they used to have more peaks. So they made it to where there was less peaks and removed... so they removed two peaks and had larger gaps between the peaks. So they still made it the same length, but it was 10% lighter. Right, so that's one of if you didn't know how many humps the old one had, you wouldn't even know they were shorting you, right? Or if you didn't have a good feel for what the weight used to be, you would think they didn't even do the shrinkflation on you, but they did. So how many ways do you think they trick us? I know it's taking Coach a while to get cooking in this one. He appreciates you being patient. It's just this one took a lot of research, so that's where most of the energy went. So I'm not like quite as upbeat, right? But we'll get there. Coach has the goods, I promise. Right. So first we got Donald Trump. Giving shit to, Donald Glover giving shit to Donald Trump. Like, of course, Donald Glover is going to be an outspoken black man who doesn't like Trump, right? It's not going to be some milquetoast white guy who's just unopinionated. It's like, let's see what he has to say, right? You know what I mean? So, of course, they got the Donalds against each other. And let's see. So no matter what, there's going to be a Donald you like, right? You either idolize Childish Gambino or the president. They'll get you one way or the other. Or Rosie O'Donnell, if you're a feminist, maybe. They'll find a way. Now, let's see. Who's this one? This has got to be New Zealand. Oh, yeah, so this was the team Coach was talking about. New Zealand was the only unbeaten country at the 2010 FIFA World Cup. They had a draw in all 3 group stage games, but still got eliminated. Let's see. Interconfederation playoffs. Let's see. Oh, yeah, okay. So it's so everybody hasn't qualified yet. So a lot of, pretty much all of the last World Cup video that Coach made was Coach going in completely fresh, and Coach likes to kind of just like throw some stuff out there before he's really dug in and see how it matches with like, how he feels, once he digs it a little bit deeper. Like, I kind of take a lot of stabs at it. And Coach will even take stabs at the past. Like if there's a result we don't know, but we're interested, like Coach isn't going to just go straight to look up who won that year. Well, let's take what we know and see if we can figure it out, right? And let's based off conspiracy, what do you know? They did, right? We'll see that a lot. Like you can test your methods by predicting the past. If you don't, do you know the result of every single champion every single year? You get what I'm saying, right? So you can just take a random year in a random sport, and we've done that a lot in the past. So Coach just throwing that out there, that's why the Egypt prediction is like so out there, right? I still think that is a team that's very well getting cooked up, but I think Coach just got carried away. When you really look at it, the winning the saber fencing World Cup is probably their flowers. That's probably a really big deal for Egypt for whatever reason.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of exactly what we're looking for. Their World Cup team is suspiciously good, and I don't think they're gonna lose every game. They'll at least get their first win ever, and they'll probably even advance to group and maybe get a win, like I said, over England, something like that. But anyway, so coach was looking, like he said, he looked, and it's pretty much the same teams in the World Cup final every year, and it's almost always a host nation. You'd be amazed how often the host nation just happens to get all the way to the final, right, and either win or lose at that point. And the coach thinks so they're definitely going to tease that for you. And Mexico, of course, is the best of the three host countries. So beyond that, everybody hasn't qualified yet. So some of those teams on that list, like coach showed you more than 48 teams, right? It was all the teams you could bet on, because you can bet for any team that's alive for the World Cup, but they all haven't punched their ticket yet. There's still 22 teams fighting for 6 spots. And there's basically five groups. In the first 4, 1 team from each makes it, and then the 5th group, 2 teams make it, but it's a bigger group, right? So coach is going to break it down. So we're kind of going backwards, but let's look at path D first. So this would be who advances to Group A with Korea, Mexico, and South Africa. Coach says it will not be Denmark, although they're a good team. It won't be North Macedonia. Coach says it will be Czechia, runners-up in 1962. We got the flip for 26, and they haven't made it since 2006. Right, that's another 2-6. Coach says they're good for it, and they'll probably make some noise in the tournament, which is bad news for the Republic of Ireland. So from the first group, we have Czechia and eliminated Republic of Ireland, North Macedonia, and Denmark. Groups or path C, Turkey. We are taking them. They've got like the Meta World Peace thing. They've been in the news a lot. Not Meta World Peace, Enes Kanter Freedom, right? So a lot of this is based off like looking at the teams and stuff, and like the actual coach did mad research on this. Coach was going in pretty much blind before, but this is coach after he's really looked into all the details. He's looked at pretty much every team in the tournament and really got back into soccer/FIFA mindset and remembering how deep some of these teams are, you know, and their rich traditions, etc. Right, so Romania not making it because Turkey's getting in there, Slovakia's going home, and so is Kosovo. If you didn't know, Kosovo was bombed by the U.S. the day that Columbine happened. I wonder if at some point there will be a Colombia-Kosovo thing. Who knows? Right, but here's Turkey. I guess I should have shown you the first team. But Turkey is ranked 25. So definitely respectable. Lowest they've ever been is 67. They got a 6-7. They've been in 2 World Cups. Here, let's get to that in a second. Who was the other team I should have shown you? Czechia. Well, I think I gave you enough. Well, let's at least look them up. I think I've got it later, but okay. Oh, duh. I'm stupid. Well, that's going to fuck it all up. I bet I have the slide later that shows how good they are. I've got a lot of stuff here, so just hold off on Czechia. San Marino, coach was thinking about them because of Dan Marino, right? So 1 letter off, and what do you know? San Marino is named after Saint Marino Marinus, and his feast day is at the beginning of September, which is when football season kicks off. So there's that. Coach was saying about the Papal States, kind of like Palpatine. He's Darth Sidious, Insidious, proceeding in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects. So this is what basically coach blows the whistle on all the time. Like the stuff that coach gets freaked out about, everybody's all like, oh, but what is that? How does that impact me? Blah, 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 or whatever. Right? Like, dude, if there's some sort of mass brainwashing and it's all just weird and eerie, like you think it's all well and good. Like, if there's something they're hiding from you that's like massively pervaded like your everyday life, and possibly everything you see around you is fake, like, yeah, there's some sort, like, there's a reason it's just slightly off. You know what I mean? They want things to seem as normal as possible because things are very, very, very not good, right? So that's what coach has to say there. So something insidious, like basically the evil coach worries about is a lot less obvious than the evil they show you on the news. Like, look, bad man hurt baby, bad man hurt woman. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, they're controlling an entire species potentially, right? Or an entire realm. You know, who knows what the extent is. Like they show you like the Matrix, they could literally just be, you could just be plugged up like a battery, and this is all some crazy simulated reality, you know. So like we really don't know. So anyway, Ukraine, coach is taking them as the Path B winners. This is the weirdest sports channel ever, I know. Even the channels that pretend to be weird can't be as weird as us. They're just kind of dorks. Now, so Sweden not making it. So Ukraine, I think everybody can just understand that's like an emotional pick mostly. But like I said, coach isn't taking anybody that's just like out there, right? Like they're good enough at soccer and probably the best team in each one of these paths, right? So we'll circle back to them. But that means Sweden's got to go home. Poland's got to go home. That was the toughest one to write off because Rob Reiner, meathead dying. The dumb Polak. Definitely had to give them a couple looks. And someone gave me a really hard time about getting rid of Albania, saying they were good. But when I looked into it there, I'm not worried. It's not going to be Albania, I promise. This is from Kat. Kat said in 92, sports gambling was banned until 2018 when it was overturned. That's 26 years. Didn't go effect till January 1st, 1993, effectively making it 33 years. I thought that was very interesting. Let's see. Oh, Ukraine. This is good for them. Like they became a member of UEFA and FIFA in 92. Flip it 26. Boom. Punch their ticket, baby. Italy. They are desperate. They haven't made the past couple World Cups. I went back and forth on them a couple times, but because, you know, they're with Canada, Qatar, and they would be with Canada, Qatar, and Switzerland, right? It's the spot they're looking for. Italy has won a lot of World Cups. I'm like, they haven't made a couple. They could be cursed. They've got to knock out Northern Ireland. There is history there. Wales and Bosnia and Herzegovina. I think that was the team that, like, if I had to go with the backup, it would be there. But the more I looked into it, I just feel really good about Italy, and most casuals would as well, right? Nobody's going to be shocked if Italy's in the World Cup, and they've already, you know, as far as like, oh, it'd be shocking if they miss. Well, they just missed the last couple. It wouldn't really be that shocking, right? And like, it's not like they've already punched their ticket. They're really nervous, right? This Italy fans would be very happy for them to pop in, and the World Cup is almost certainly always better when Italy's in it, whereas the other teams, you know. So let's see, what do we have on these boys? They're currently 13th, right? So whoever wants to keep them from the tournament, you know, you're dealing with a top 15 squad. That's not going to be easy. Their first win was 6-2. That could be a 26. Champions 34 years ago. What do you know? 92 years ago, 26 flip. And they won in 2006, which could also be a 26. There's just too much there. You know, and typically these types of predictions always favor the teams that have won more, but so do the actual results. Like, basically, you know, teams that have won a lot tend to continue to win, right? At least every so often. They don't just, very few teams just stop winning entirely unless they go away or go defunct or something. And even then, they'll usually pop up somewhere else. So what else do we have? So a majority of the team was killed in a plane crash in 49. Coach has a lot of stuff going on with planes, so that feels good. Here's Bosnia, right? So founded in 92. That's good for them, right? But they're currently 71st in the world. It's not impossible. They're any lower, I'd say absolutely not. They could make some magic happen if they're a little overlooked right now. But against a desperate Italy team that isn't overlooking anybody, come on. I'm just saying, hell no. So Suriname, gone. Bolivia, gone. We're taking Iraq. Let's see, they haven't made it since 86. They are the Lions. We like that. And, you know, let's see. They had to win to stay alive. They've got a really nice path. They've got the easiest path of any team. No joke. All they're doing is waiting on the winner of Bolivia and Suriname and taking care of business. It's probably going to be Bolivia there. And Bolivia was really hard to say it's not going to be them. But let's see. Here we go. Here's some numbers for you. So the Iraq War was because of Bush's 92 defeat. To me, that's a 26 for Iraq. Their biggest win was in 92. They won 13-0. It could be a 26 flip. They're currently 58th. It's around the highest they've ever been. Like, they're going to be one of the worst teams in the World Cup, but this is just somehow this path occurred, and they've already done everything but win the last game. They're like the only team on the whole list that only has to win one, right? And it's not like they're against some world beaters here. Bolivia is easily the scariest, okay? So, they've got some sort of 100-year anniversary there with the 1926. They're currently 76. We know we like 76. Okay, that certainly makes them scary. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk for Iraq, but this team's got to win too. Okay, and let's see. So they did make the World Cup the last time it was in America. They're going against Suriname. Suriname is currently 123rd, 1, 2, 3. I think they're donezo. Right, their lowest 191 palindrome. So I'm sure I have more about Bolivia and Iraq specifically because that was like the toughest one to call. But oh wait, hold on. There's something about Dutch there. Sorry, I'm flipping so much. So they got a shack. We like that, and I could have sworn there was some sort of Dutch. I don't care about that right now. Oh, so Daryl Morey, Sixers GM, last year, he said, I know you have to squint a little, but we feel like this team can still win the championship. They went like 8-24 after that. So Bobby Ray Jones Jr., he's 6'7", Bobby Jones. So this is a different Bobby Jones, not the other Bobby Jones Sixer. This is a different NBA player who's 6'7", did get drafted by the Sixers as well, right? Like Robert Clyde, Bobby Jones, the Secretary of Defense. Don't forget, same city that had Reggie White, the Minister of Defense. So they got the Minister of Defense and the Secretary of Defense in the same city. And sorry about that, he's from Akron. Also played for the Nuggets. We got the Nuggets against the Sixers in the finals next year. And he was traded for his teammate Caldwell Jones was traded for Moses Malone. Given a framed replica for the Sixers' 25th anniversary. Joel Embiid requested to wear his 24 for the Sixers in honor of the late Kobe Bryant. That's very interesting. Of course, Kobe from Philly. We think Myles Garrett is Kobe right now. So ranking some of the biggest trades of the past 2 decades, where do you see this list, dude? This is the craziest shit I've ever seen. Number 15, Allen Iverson, Denver. Right away, Philly. Right in Denver. 14, Kawhi Leonard, guy that knocks us out with a billion bounces, and Mr. Clipper right now. 13, Chris Paul, the Clippers. 11, Dwight Howard to the Lakers. Philly, that's actually the Philly Andrew Bynum trade, and to make it even more interesting, we get Dwight Howard later. And Coach can find a billion articles showing you, even after it was so obvious that Andrew Bynum was never going to do anything, he had already been re-injured and researched, they're still telling you, this is the best trade in Philly history. He's going to be so good. If you're just a typical fan, you're done. There's so many times I wish I would have had this channel. Just be are they really trying to sell you this? This is so stupid. Right, and that's just one that always pops up in Coach's head is the fact they tried to get me to go along with it even to begin with, but even years down the line, it's just they're just milking the shit out. It's ridiculous. But anyways, of course, we give up Andrew Bynum, so that helps the Warriors win all their championships. and that's another Dwight Howard trade. So Kevin Garnett, what do you know? Theo Ratliff, Sixer involved in that one. Shaq to Miami. I'm thinking Karan or Lamar. I forgot to check. One of those I'm almost positive are Clippers. Russell Westbrook to Houston. They get Chris Paul, Clipper. Kevin Love to Cleveland. They get Thad Young, Sixer. Carmelo to New York. We've got him coming to the Sixers. And what do you know? Carmelo Anthony traded for Anthony Randolph. Ho, ho, ho. And James Harden, of course, Sixer and Clipper. Paul George to Clippers, now on the Sixers. Right? Apart from, like, number one, the Sixers have been in, like, the Sixers or Clippers have been a part of, like, every single major trade of, like the top 15 major trades in the past however many years, 20 years or something, 25 years. Like, why are they always in the news if they're just going to always be a joke? Like, that seems ridiculous. So, Jared Butler. Let's see. What's his deal? He's a Thunder and Sixer, of course, like Jimmy Butler, Jay Butler. February 6th, that's 2-6. We traded him for Reggie Jackson. Reggie Miller's Pacers were in the finals last year. 2.5 rebounds could be a 25. $2.5 million contract could be a 25. But that could also just be a joke about when the trade's made. You know, it's always hard to tell exactly what's... Coach really likes championship numbers and stuff as the best indicators for who's going to win a championship. When you got a team like Clippers, it's never done it. You know, it's tough to predict a loser in that case. You got to really go off the vibes and the narratives. So Steph Curry makes history as Golden State Warriors crush the Sixers. I really think he's the answer. And, like, it's the exact type of move I'd never want the Sixers to make. I'm not some huge Steph Curry fan. I feel like it kind of cheapens the process. But, like, at the same time, if you would have told Sixers fans watching, you know, Thad Young, Evan Turner, right, you know, Spencer Hawes, you know, those type of guys suffering, watching them losing the wild card every year, only advancing if a superstar on the other team blows his knee out. You know, if you would have told those fans suffering through the Doug Collins era that all they have to do is suck for a decade and they'll get Steph Curry and Joel Embiid, and, like, with those two guys, they're going to, you know, like, do you think they'll win a championship even if they're all, be like, hell yeah, like, that's by far a better chance than we've ever had, right? So, and I'm forgetting Paul George in that mix too. Like, I just think that's a nasty big three, and, like, it's total ring chaser shit, but, you know, sometimes ring chasers get rings. And it really, if it works, Daryl Morey gets all the credit. He's, you know, been criticized so much. I think it's the move. But at the same time, boy, Edgecombe and Maxey, like they're the type of players that the Sixers fans would be happy to have and not win a championship for ever, like their whole career, right? Like, that's the things, like, you know, we don't have to win if we got guys like that. You know what I mean? So it's going to hurt immediately, and almost nobody's going to like it. But you throw a Steph Curry onto this team, the bandwagon's going to explode. Steph Curry and Paul George, like, they somehow made you think the Paul George trade or signing was, like, the worst contract ever. What do you know? He just gets suspended for 25 games, right? 25 for the 2025 season for taking some sort of upper. That's not been disclosed yet. And along with that, he gets fined $12 million. Well, every single year, the Sixers have had to try to duck, like, the salary tax and stuff. Well, that $12 million comes off of the Sixers' payroll, and they were actually looking at this trade deadline that there were a couple, like, they were basically just going to have to ship a starter or, like, two to three, like, real role player guys along with the starter out just to stay under the luxury cap. Now Embiid's all excited. He's like, well, maybe we can try to improve, you know, for once, you know, and on top of lucking out with the draft, getting a win now type, you know, I mean, hitting with Edgecombe, and now a lot of teams would want him. You know, there's a lot of value that the Sixers have with pieces like Maxey and Edgecombe, as well as, like, all their picks except a couple. They can, if they're ever want, if Morey feels like his job's in jeopardy, which he probably should, in that he's sick of, if he's got a good feel for how the NBA's looking, and it looks like the Clippers might be making a run to the finals, and he's the only one that could possibly stop him. He's be doing everything and anything and everything. He's not going to wait for the Sixers or for the Celtics window to open back up with a healthy Tatum, or the Pacers with Halliburton. That's stupid, right? Or wait for the Lakers to figure out the LeBron problem, right? You're going to pounce now when Jimmy Butler's hurt on the Warriors. This is the year, if there ever was one. Like, nobody's loving that Paul George is out 25 games, but what is he saying in response? Man, I'm going to use this time to get my body in shape for the playoffs, right? Well, that sounds great. Now we've got minutes that need to go somewhere. Maybe we can get Melo. What do you know? I'm getting too far ahead. So let's keep going. Here's the suspension. So coach likes this bet a lot, and they let me take the action. I wanted to take it for more, but they didn't. It's not my favorite bet, but I like it a lot. Nationals winning the National League. The Syracuse at the same time the Syracuse Nationals beat the Clippers, and that's also the Expos of '67. Right, so coach likes that combination a lot. It's just a 2-leg, and you only need one exact outcome championship and the other team to just pop up into the World Series. They don't even need to win. I think they might win, but I'm going to play it a little safe there, and 50 cents gets you 188 grand. So coach likes that one a lot. My favorite bet, I'll spoil it, is Sixers to beat Clippers, Patriots, and Portugal, right? Because we got Portugal beating Argentina. And honestly, of those three, I feel the shakiest about the Patriots, right? I still think they're going to be good for it, but it seems like impossible they're going to pass up Portugal, and the Sixers Clippers thing just feels like it's in the bag. They get to talk like they're still not testing LeBron. Playoff P to pandemic P to podcast P to prescription P. Iverson with the legend thing. It's like, should Or be legendary? So these are all people talking about VJ Edgecombe. So let's see. So they say it's got to do with like antidepressants. I'm guessing it's like ayahuasca or something, or like ketamine. I probably shouldn't have said that, but whatever. Now, let's see. Lauren Rosen. How about this? How about the sideline reporter? Right, and like the Sixers, like historically, had not great looking sideline. Like you're not tuning into the sideline reporters for anything but their personality and basketball analysis, which coach appreciated. But he imagined it probably wasn't doing a lot for the casuals. Well, what do you know? They went and got some pretty-ish young thing to be the sideline reporter, and where does she go? With the Clippers, right? And there you go, if you want to get a little bit of a look for her. All right, she's not bad. And then, so we talked about prescription P. We got Swaggy P, Nick Young, Clipper, Sixer. Gotta love it, right? Warrior, Laker. He's been around. Let's see, his parents are Charles. It's like Chuck. His oldest brother, Charles Jr., was killed by a gang. So he's the prophet of swag. False idol enough for you. I like that he was engaged to Iggy Azalea, right? He played for the Warriors with Iggy, Andre Iguodala, Iggy. All right, you gotta love that. As soon as he hit 9 threes, the league had to investigate. That shit is hilarious. This is like unsettling. Okay? So, coach just read Charles Barkley's book. So, and it was like, coach really likes when a book's actually like it was an audiobook, and he likes when it's actually narrated by the person who like wrote the autobiography or whatever. He doesn't want some random or like an AI voice. So it was like actually narrated by Charles Barkley. So not only have I grown up with Charles Barkley, also being a Sixers fan and having Sports Illustrated highlights of his MVP season, and always thinking he was interesting with the not a role model. He's always one of my favorite players in a way. Like I wouldn't, he wasn't like necessarily active for most of my life, but like I never had a problem with Charles. He's always an interesting personality, has a lot of dumb takes, right? But it's all usually interesting, right? So our coach is very tuned into what Charles Barkley sounds like. So I saw he had a lot of weight loss, and they're like calling him a sex symbol or whatever. But I noticed right away something looks off. That didn't look like Chuck to me. That looks like that scary Dave Chappelle replacement, Gucci replacement. Like, I can't quite place, but something's way off. And I was looking at this, so look in the comments, clone, hate to admit it, but hard to deny. I was just thinking that, like, just really doesn't look like Chuck. I had another picture I deleted I should have kept. When he makes the face, he looks a bit more like him, but with his normal face, it doesn't look like him at all. But check this out.
They will let you take that for mental health.
For mental health.
And listen, Kenny, I'm 100% agree with you. It's something fishy going on here. Now, I don't joke around about mental health, but if you're taking something for mental health, that's got to be an outlier to the NBA.
Not a performance enhancing
Yes.
drug.
Come on, man.
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make, listen, like I say, as my girl Judge Judy said, if it doesn't make sense to me, it don't make sense, because I like Paul George. But if the NBA and, DeMar DeRozan, who we love, and Kevin Love, they've been the two most outspoken advocates for mental health. But if you're taking some for mental health, even if it's on a list, you should get a hall pass. So this does not sound.
Is that the rule, though? I mean,
no.
No. I don't know the rule, but it just doesn't make sense.
Like, there's never a good reason taking performance-enhancing drugs, Shaq. But if you're taking a drug for your mental health, you should get a hall pass.
And I would put it like.
He sounds so slowed down. Like, it's like he's on drugs or something. All right, so seeing who else came to the comments, who else peeped it. They cloned Chuck like they did Gucci. His voice is more clear and projects more. And of course, there's someone, I experienced the same thing from losing weight. Like, they're just going to act like losing weight makes you have your skin completely change colors and your voice completely. Yeah, he didn't sound like himself until after that throat clearing. Let's see. He went from Auburn Chuck to retired Chuck. Let's see. I think so. So Paul George, his excuse is mental health. They say, imagine paying $12 million for drugs. It's definitely not good for mental health. Coach thinking of life, right? Like, it's got the word lie right in it. What's that about? Let's see. The Ravens hired the Bears offensive coordinator, so the Bears are going to be a lot worse. The Ravens shredded a bad coordinator with Monken and immediately improved. With this guy, I think this guy's taking a lot of Ben Johnson's credit, right? So expect the Bears to regress dramatically, especially getting a win over the Packers that they can talk about till the end of time. And watch for the Ravens to be significantly improved on offense, but they still have, they got a new coach coming in. I'm not exactly sure what goes on. I'm not too concerned with them, but it won't be the offense's problem. Like, he's going to get through to Lamar. They're going to do better. I still think the offensive line's not great, but that was a good move for them. Bad move for the Browns and the Bears, the worst of the three. They're definitely going to be hurting, I think, and people are going to sour on Ben Johnson once he misses the playoffs. So Sean Payton is basically going nuclear. I'm trying to remember what all he said. He came out and said that Nick's has had like a bunch of surgeries on his ankle, and like everybody's like, wow, Nick's really told him to shut up by saying like he doesn't even know how many surgeries I've had. Like, you're not gonna, like, nobody's like, well, how many fucking surgeries has this kid had? His coach doesn't even know how many surgeries. Like, what's going on with his ankle, right? So the coach thinks there's your window, Peyton. He's gonna be missing the next playoffs too. This wasn't a one-off. And let's see. So Monken like burned the bridges when leaving Cleveland. Somehow they bring him back. Like he said, they're a complete mess. He's the Browns' 23rd coach. He was the coordinator for Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Odell Beckham Jr., and finished 6-10. Come on, man. What NFL history says about Todd Monken hires and kind of the Browns. And, like, they're saying he's too old at 60. So, like, coach thinks that's a big part of it, too. So now when they fire him for someone even older, they're like, what are you doing? Belichick's a fossil. We thought the other guy was too old. Because he was 13 years older than 47. And if you take away the coaches that are good, There's none of them that are good. I always love that type of math. Well, if you take away this coach, that coach, and the other coach, the record's horrible. Well, no shit. You just completely fucked up the sample, the data. So let's see, Sean McVay effect. See how old dog changes spots, blah, blah, blah. The Steelers, we already talked about them. They suck anyway. Screw them. Never mind. Okay, so false self for decline of Lamar Jackson. So maybe he'll, it shows he doesn't get along with his quarterbacks, but, so Shador specifically didn't want to be with the Ravens. And the Ravens don't want this guy. And this guy at least says it was his fault. Maybe he's going to make a real effort to get through to Shador. Right? And a lot of people, as bad as all this stuff says, some people actually like the hire and say he's a good coach. But, as long as he doesn't get in the way of Belichick coming to town, I don't care. He's neutral to me. Ryan Ripken show, right? We talked about Cal Ripken with the Braves. We've got the Clippers, the Buffalo Braves making it to the finals. Let's see. Yeah, this is the guy they wanted, the Rams coordinator, right? But they just blew it. So because Bill Belichick, Tom Brady's coach, didn't get into the Hall of Fame, now Tom Coughlin has to wait. So the other Tom's getting the brunt of it. And, of course, that's a Tom that beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Let's see. So this is a full list of first ballot Hall of Fame coaches, right? So Belichick can never be on this list. Wait. If he coaches again, they reset the whole thing, and it would be with his new resume would be a first ballot entry, I think. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but that sounds right to me. It'd be his second time trying to get inducted, but it'd be the first ballot with I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'm stressing too much. But anyways, Don Shula, Chuck Noll, Tom Landry, Curly Lambeau, and George Halas. Coach is cool with Bill Belichick not being on that list. That's a very small list, right? If Paul Brown's not on it, I don't think Belichick needs to be on it, personally. Now, so yeah, Belichick's got as many Super Bowls as the other three combined. Paul Brown has 7 of the Browns' 8. Let's see, the other came with Jim Brown after Paul Brown left. Yeah, so if the Browns, this is 2 years ago, if the Browns win their next 1,190 games in a row, they'll match their winning percentage under Paul Brown. So Rob Lowe, right, the other Rob Lowe. I'm not going to spend too much on it, but Rob Lowe's a Dodgers and a Rams fan. Let's see. So Luka hurt himself on the Cavaliers raised court, right? We think the Cavs and the Lakers could be going head-to-head in the finals. Now, pretty much everybody in the comments had decided LeBron is done winning, and Coach was all about that line of thinking, but I am completely changing it, and it's sort of right. LeBron's done winning with the Lakers. He already won one with the Lakers, and he's only 2 from Jordan. He wears 23, all that sort of stuff. You really think they're not going to manufacture a way for him to get to 6, and you can still argue with any clear logic that Jordan was the better player. But if there's going to exist a debate, he needs 2 more. And it seems like a shoo-in he's getting one with the Celtics. The dude's got a freaking Shamrock tattoo. Right? And, we saw Ohio State against Notre Dame, blah, blah, blah. So I think, he sticks around a while longer. He could play another 6 years or something like that. And I think, he's got the most powerful agency in sports backing him up. Right? They have every incentive to want him to find a way to get 2 more rings. I mean, they found a way to get freaking Luka Doncic right next to him, right? It's just not a perfect fit, and the Lakers are, more invested in Luka, blah, blah, blah. But if the Lakers get on the bad end of that power struggle, Luka might have a hard time. They might have to do it all organically through the draft. And even then, Klutz is going to have a lot of guys in the draft under their thumb as well. Right? So if LeBron completely sours his relationship with the Lakers, that could be really bad for the Lakers. I think maybe he goes back to the Cavs. We get LeBron revenge on the Lakers. I think that'd be pretty funny. Like, he takes a huge pail out of nowhere. Like, Mr. Bag finally just, like, he's all, like, right now, LeBron's only problem, he has a lot of problems, but his fatal flaw is that he wants his cake and to eat it too, right? Like, in a billion other things, right? Like, he wants to win a championship while having his kid on the team, while being the highest paid player in the league, right? Like, it's like, while not playing defense, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, he needs to pick a lane. And the only thing he needs to sacrifice on is the thing that's going to help any team the most, and that he needs he needs it the least, is money. Just let one of these teams get not even a LeBron-friendly, not even a team-friendly deal, but just like a reasonable deal, because he's not even close to the max player, right? Once he's done milking all this money from the Lakers, teams aren't going to pay him any more than what he's worth. They get to start, the negotiations start all over, right? Someone will overpay him a little bit for the name, but he's not going to be eaten up like him. He's going to be closer to his real value, right? And they can actually reasonably build a team around, or maybe a team like the Cavs, like I said, already have enough pieces for him to just float in and maybe do something. And Luka get injured on that court, or maybe LeBron loses, right, and gets hurt there. Who knows, right? But I definitely think LeBron's got a couple more interesting stops. The Cavs are I think he's got unfinished business there, and I could see them beating the Lakers. I don't think anybody would be mad at that. And then going to Boston. When he goes to Boston, he beats the Lakers. When he goes to Cleveland, tough to say. I'd have to think that over a bit more. Maybe he doesn't go back to Cleveland, right? Maybe it's somebody else. But I definitely got him shooting beating the Lakers with Boston. Now let's move on. Let's see. What's going on here? Oh, yeah. So the DC Defenders, they were the only team in the UFL to keep their coach. All the others fired their coach. Shannon Harris, coach, picked the DC Defenders to win. I didn't realize we had a Harris there. So that's good for our Sixers. Let's see. He's got a Braves connection. Virginia State Trojans. And he got Coach of the Year. He was also coach at Tennessee State at the same time. So yeah, like they're hyping up the Seahawks like they're Goliath. It seems like pretty much everybody's taking the Seahawks. So I feel really good about taking the Patriots. Like I said, they got some head cases as well, but the Seahawks just seem like straight up heels, and like the brand's just not strong enough. They beat the Broncos, right? That's not the Patriots. Now, I think Amanda Seyfried and who's that other one? Sydney Sweeney look a good bit alike. Let's see. So George McGinnis. This is good. So, Coach was saying about Paul George. We had the George Yang connection. What do you know? Another Sixer/Pacer, George McGinnis. And let's see. We've talked about him before, so I don't want to spend too much time. But he's got a lot of numbers we like. All-Star in 76 and 79, blah, blah, blah. He's on a short list with Roger Brown, Reggie Miller, and Mel Daniels. So died a couple years ago. Oh, yeah, so died at age 73, played 73 games in his first season. I thought that was odd. Led the NBA in triple-doubles in the 75 to 76 season. That's pretty fucking interesting, right? All NBA in 76 as well. So, continue with the Paul George thing. We got Paul Silas, right, who used to battle McGinnis. He died right around the same time. Makes sense if they're in the league at the same time. You're going to get old around the same time. Supersonic, though. Thunders were just in the finals. Died at age 79. That's 76 for us. Let's see. Clippers, coach. We like that. NBA champion in 76 and 79. Oh, man. Let me revise my Sixers list. So I said they're going to beat the Pistons, the Pacers, and the Knicks. I don't think we actually, man, I don't know. There's a lot going on with the Pacers. It's tough to take the Pacers off there, and it's tough to take the Knicks off there. I already forget what the other team I said was, but let's throw the Hornets in there. I think the Hornets are going to sneak in. And, with all the 6-7 stuff, I think that's an exciting season or series. Right? Lonzo was drafted one spot ahead of Jahlil Okafor, so, there's enough there to think they might be doing something. Oh, they also got the Bridges kid, right? The Sixers famously drafted homegrown Villanova champ whose mom worked for the Sixers and then immediately traded him on draft night like some scrubs. So Chuck Daly here. Bad Boys era guy, 92, Dream Team coach. Died in 2009. That's like a 2-9 thing. Flipped from the 92. Graduated college in 52. Sixers assistant. 2-time NBA champ, top 10 coach in NBA history. They named the Lifetime Achievement Award after him. And I was looking for a Chuck, but I found Larry Brown, who is good for our SMU Mustangs, as well as our Sixers and our Clippers, and the Pacers, who just made the finals. Another guy who's won the award recently, Bernard Tyrone. We like both those because Bernie Sanders and Tyrone because of Tyronn Lue. Tyrone Williams, Sweet Lou. Let's see, Meek Mill, Lou Will. All right, so. Globetrotter, he's 81. College in 62. San Diego, we like that. Coach just says George Floyd's obviously an avatar. People think that's a real person. Come on. So Embiid snubbed from the All-Star game because he hasn't played enough games. Here's Billy Owens. So coach is looking at Syracuse guys that have had their numbers retired. Right, so Billy Eugene Owens. We had Gene Hackman go down. He went to Syracuse, of course. That's why we're looking. He also played for the Warriors and the Sonics. We like that. All-rookie team in 92. We like that. He was the trade that broke up Run TMC. And okay, so he was traded for Anthony Parker. It's like Carmelo Anthony. So Anthony Parker. What did I like about him? Drafted in 97. Went to Bradley. Drafted by the Sixers. The Sixers drafted Sean Bradley, 7'6" center right around that time. Of course, the Sixers had a 7'6" center, right? Let's see. Played with the Quad City Thunder. We like that. Oh, his sister's Candace Parker. That was interesting. Are we still recording? Yeah, good. Okay. All right. So good. He played in the Goodwill games in Seattle. Derek Coleman. This one surprised me. I didn't know he was a Syracuse guy. Born in 67. We like that. So old DC here from Detroit. We like that too. 44 for the number of times Eminem's dissed Christopher Reeves. And for Dana Reeves' death. Okay, so compared to Karl Malone and Charles Barkley, right? So Malone and Barkley, ends up on the Sixers. No, it's the other Malone, Moses Malone. Okay. All right, so this dude, number retired from Syracuse. Wilmuth, Sadat Singh, not a lot there, but seems important. Let's see. DeWitt Clinton High School. His mom was Pauline. Could be like a Paul George. Oh, and Elias Webb, Chris Webber was on the Sixers. I guess that could be a reason for the Fab Five to make a deep run and lose. They're pretty highly ranked this year. So Billy Gaber, right, also retired with Billy Owens. Both the Syracuse. Billy the Bullet. And, of course, he was a Sixer, Syracuse Nationals. NBA champion. Dennis Duval. The coach thinks Robert Duvall's going down. We had the Jaguars coach Duval. Throw that out there. Dennis. That's like Dennis from It's Always Sunny. So Syracuse. Here's Sherman Douglas. Syracuse guy, was a Clipper. He's known as the General, like Carell Buckhalter, the General. He revolutionized the running floater. That's pretty interesting. See, like, that's the type. If NBA 2K games weren't so lame, like, why isn't Sherman Douglas, like, popping up? You know what I mean? Like, did he play? Yeah, he played for a lot of teams. Like, why is there never, like, hey, here's Sherman Douglas. He's got a floater badge. You know? So, that'd be dope. It's always like, here's the Ice Freeze Paul George, right? Here's the Pearl Elite, whatever the hell it is. So he played against this Douglas guy here, Sherman Douglas. He played against Jordan 30 times, lost all 30 games in his career. That's hilarious. Coach misspoke in a previous video saying that Iverson's favorite player was Mo Cheeks. I meant to say Iverson's dad's favorite player was Mo Cheeks. Iverson's favorite player was Jordan. He basically played like a sped-up Jordan that was shorter. We've also got Pearl Washington of Syracuse. He died at age 52. Right? This is 25 season. I wonder if Syracuse is making a deep run. Let's see. Not a lot there. Died at 52. Yeah, that's the part we like. So Billy Gaber, Billy Owens. So Ronaldo has 961 goals. He's an all-time leading scorer in FIFA history. It'd be really nice for him to get a World Cup win, right? And not just be completely forgotten to history when casuals who only watch the World Cup talk about soccer. So it'd be nice for him to finally get one, and he'll probably get 1,000 goals on the way. There's no way he's scoring 39 throughout the tournament. I don't care how good he is, even if they hadn't qualified yet, which they have. That's not how he's going to get there. But he probably has a couple years left in him to do a little victory tour off the World Cup win. Or maybe he gets injured at 999 goals. Who knows. So there's Bobby Lane. We talked about that. So Cooper DeJean, okay, wins the Super Bowl the same year Cooper Flagg is the number 1 overall pick. Wins the Super Bowl for the same team Riley Cooper played for. We've got Cooper Kupp with the Seahawks, okay. DB Cooper, like the only unsolved air hijacking or whatever, right? He jacked a flight from Seattle. And let's see. I can't remember what I had. Oh, yeah, so 42 occupants. That could be a 24 flip. Eagles won 24 season Super Bowl. Let's see. Okay. Donald Nyrop. So they brought him up. So he was the president of Northwest at the time. Okay, so this guy who was the president of Northwest Airlines, you're telling me just happened to have a son who wins 3 Stanley Cups with the Canadiens, 1 in 76? That's pretty weird, right? Middle name Donald. All this stuff that I'm talking about now, connecting to Cooper, is going on when Donald Trump's president.